My narcissist stepfather treats me like dirt while worshipping his golden child. I'm not sure if this belongs here or AITA, but this happened a few weeks ago. Me, 19M, stepdad, referred to as dad for simplicity, M52, mom, F46, girlfriend, F19. So a bit of context, I'm currently living at home but actively searching for a place live, in secret from my parents. My dad was active duty military but is now in the reserves in Guarda, the gates of our local military base, and has some form of PTSD from his active duty years, but refuses to admit it or seek help for it, and I am usually the target of his angry outbursts. My mom graduated nursing school last year and is currently working as a nurse. She and my dad have been married for 11 years and had my little sister, 8 years old. And due to his relationship with his previous children not working out, he has a hyperfixation on keeping her happy, but has always been somewhat standoffish towards me, but that's a story for another time. Let's get into what happened. One morning after I put my sister on the bus, I decided to just chill out for the day before going over to my girlfriend's house that evening because it was my first day off in a while since I worked 2 jobs. My dad was leaving for work, and before he did, he told I needed to get a haircut that day. I told him I can't afford one, and I just got one 2 weeks prior, so my hair was still short. He said he didn't care, and to just borrow money from your mom or your girlfriend. Just get it done. No excuses. Then he left. About an hour later, I call my mom and let her know what's up. She sighs but doesn't fight it, but I told her to hang on. I called the barber shop I go to and asked if my guy was working that day. He was not. That's an issue because every other barber in the area has either messed up my hair really bad or refuses to touch my hair due to the fact that I'm mixed and have thick curly hair, and they are afraid they will mess it up. So I call my mom back and let her know my guy isn't working today, but I know he will be tomorrow. She says okay, and to just go the next day. So we go on with our day. After my mom gets home from work, I head out to my girlfriend's house at about 5 p.m. About 15 minutes after I get to her house, my mom calls me and says, "Mom, do they have hair clippers there?" Me, "I don't think so. Why?" Mom, "Pop says if you don't come home with a haircut, he's cutting your hair off." My girlfriend overhears this, and having heard what I go through with him all the time, says, "What the fuck? No, you are not going to let him do that to you. That's abusive as fuck." Mom, "Am I on speakerphone?" Me, "No, Mom. I'm gonna go. I'm tired of getting yelled at today." Click. I'm dumbfounded at this point, but quickly snap out of it, remembering the man I'm dealing with and how common this sort of thing is for him, and look at my girlfriend. Admittedly, I looked for clippers in her house, even dog clippers, and when I couldn't find any, I got desperate enough to ask her to cut my hair with scissors. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you understand how much this man scares me. He and I are of similar heights, but he is much stronger than I am and much more intimidating, and he knows it. He has punched me in the chest before because I wasted his tire shine for his car, and rather than normal punishments, he would have me do military exercises for 3 to 4 hours over any little thing. Woke up late? Exercise. Dishes weren't done? Exercise. Wearing clothes I don't like? Exercise. At one point, he made grab me by my collar and held me up against a wall in front of all our family friends because he thought I sighed at him. But anyway, after I can't find any clippers, my girlfriend tells me to stop and relax. She told me not to go home if he's threatening me like that. I told her I didn't have a choice. I had work the next day, my uniform was at home, and since I had started my second job so recently, I couldn't call out. After a while of talking, we decided to go pick up my clothes for work and to go back to her house since her mom told me I could stay with them for a little while. So I called my mom back and I told her what I was going to do, and she lost it. Mom, "No, come home." Me, "I'm not coming home to be shaved bald." Mom, "Please just come home. I'll talk to him." Me, "No, I'm coming to grab my clothes and staying here for the night." Mom, "This will only make things worse." Me, "I don't feel safe there tonight." Mom, click. I get in my car and tell my girlfriend to follow me in hers. At this point, it is about 7:45 p.m. As we start driving, my mom calls me back. "Mom, please come home." I talk to him and he promised to keep it civil. Me, I'm grabbing my clothes and leaving. Girlfriend is coming with me. Mom, "No, she's not. Keep her away from my house or I'll call 911. Me, "She's here to make me feel safe. Mom, if you think you're leaving in that car, you're wrong. That's not your car, that's the car we let you use." Me, "Okay." Girlfriend is in her car, so we'll just take hers back to her house. My mom starts going on about how this is going to make her have a stroke. If I don't come home, she's going to call an ambulance on herself, and that I'm putting her in a really bad position. Unfortunately, I eventually cave and tell her I'm coming home and hang up. I then call my girlfriend, who is driving behind me the whole time, and tell her the deal. She tells me not to, but I tell her what my mom said about having a stroke, and since she's had them before, how it's very likely. She doesn't like the idea, but I tell her to wait at the front of my neighborhood for at least an hour. If she felt like leaving after that, then she could, but if I didn't call her at 1 a.m. to tell her I'm okay to call the police. She agrees, and that's what we did. I walk into the house and my mom hugs me while crying. My sister is still confused on what's going on, but after my mom's scene, we go into my bathroom and she shapes up my beard a little, the only thing that really needed to be done. And about an hour later, my dad gets home. Things didn't remain civil like she said. He started yelling at me about how I never listen, threatens me saying me and him could outside and fight right now, and says he's not afraid of jail time because he's served it before, says he's poured 10 years of his life into me, and that he's going to get something out of it, whether it's me getting a good job and supporting myself, or him kicking my ass. He reiterates the fact that he's not my dad and he never will be. He doesn't let me call him dad. He makes me call him Pops. That was the first conversation we had ever had, and it was when I was 8. He tells me there's only one man on this house, and it's him, so if I want to act like a man, to go out into the real world and act like one, and while I was in his house I am to do whatever he says, because even if he asks me to do something, he's not really asking me. He's telling me to do it just in a nicer way. While this is going on, my mom doesn't intervene or say anything. He then tells me for my own safety to never yell at his wife ever again. I go downstairs to my room after all this and call my girlfriend to let her know I'm okay. For reference, he started yelling at me at 9:20, and I called her at 11:30. I was standing there getting yelled at for over 2 hours. A few weeks later, and I'm still at home. I'm very much so looking for a place to live, but I'm stuck here for at least a few more months. I have more stories and might end up posting them here eventually. TLDR, I didn't get a haircut, so my dad threatened to shave me bald. Update. If you haven't seen my previous post, here's the link. So I pulled my mom down during her lunch break to talk to her. Just for a quick preface, me and my mom work in the same hospital. She, like I stated before, is a nurse while I am just a barista at the cafe on the main floor of the building. I asked her why she never stuck up for me when it came to Pops, and she tried to use every excuse she could, saying, "You need to let it go." I told her, "I've been letting it go for 10 years now, and I deserve an explanation to why you would let a man who has told me from day one he is not my father and made me fear him rather than love him do what he has done to me for so long." She tried to say that if she intervenes that things would only get worse and he would explode. I told her, good. Let him explode. Let his probably last daughter see him for how he truly is, and call the police. She finally caved. She explained that she does not want to be married to him because of his actions. She said he won't let her put anything in her name. The house, the cars, none of it is in her name. I asked, why not leave and use your savings to get by for a while? I'm sure living in an apartment and getting a less expensive car would certainly be better than dealing with him. She admitted to me she used all her savings to get herself through nursing school. Now I should say that the nursing school my mother went to was a bit different than a normal one. Rather than go through years of college, spacing out the classes, they cram everything into one super high-stress school year. The program isn't cheap but has an extremely high hiring rate. At nearly 100% of students get hired into a hospital or clinic before they even fully graduate. My mom had done this program in 2020 while my dad was deployed, and then COVID hit. Me and my sister were stuck in online school, but my mom was not. So her schoolwork, coupled with both her kids stuck at home and no support from my dad other than him barking orders at her over the phone, stressed her out so much that she failed at the tail end of the school year. The class would kick you out if your grade dropped below a 70%, and she unfortunately missed one of many questions on one of her last tests, but the director of the program begged her to come back again the next year because she knew my mom could do it. It used the last of her savings, but she did it, but now has to earn back all that money. She told me it's hard because now that she has a job, my dad thinks he can just buy whatever he wants. I've heard her get onto him multiple times for spending money on PlayStation, but he always says, "I thought the new Call of Duty weapon pack looked cool, so I bought it." Whatever, it's my money anyway. Or how he, instead of putting things in the Amazon cart and talking to my mom about it, will just now buy it if he feels like it. I told my mom that I can sympathize with that, but asked why she never told me, and rather made it seem like I was alone in my dislike for his actions. She told me it's an adult situation. I said, "Mom, I'm 19, gonna be 20 in June. I am an adult. I have 2 jobs and even pay or help on some of the bills and groceries. You should have told me a long time ago whether I was an adult or not." She apologized and said she was ashamed of herself. She then explained that she understood that I was right and that I didn't need to deal with his bull *T any longer than I already have, and that she would help me find a place. Even offered to help me talk to my friend's family and see if I can't go back home with them after their trip as a temporary place to stay. But she asked that when I leave to not to do it in a super dramatic way, and to just either leave when he gets deployed for a month in April, or to tell him way beforehand, and to make sure there's no way he can try to shoot it down. She said there isn't anything she can do about the car, and she knew he wouldn't let me take it, but she offered to ask some friends and coworkers to help me move whenever I find a place and are able to leave. So I guess Mom is on my side. I told her I appreciate it, but it will take longer for me to forgive her for letting him hurt me all these years, and she said she understands and will likely never forgive herself for it either. I will update you guys with another post when the situation changes. Thank you all for your support. It means the world to me and feels amazing letting this off my chest.